Good afternoon. It is January 23rd, this Thursday. I'm Gene and you're hanging with Uncle. Getting started a little bit later today. Had to be at the pro shop real early, so didn't have time to do a show this morning. But I'd like to talk about teamwork today because no man is an island. Everybody that succeeds has had help along the way in some form or another, and nobody reaches it by themselves. For example, let's talk about racing. Who's the guy that comes out and changes the tires? Do we know his name? Do we know the name of the person with the big gas canister that hooks it up to the race car when they're in the pit? Do we know his name? Who's the pit crew boss? How many people are in the pit crew? It seems that all the focus is on the driver and they get the credit. They won the race, but he didn't do it by himself because the driver doesn't get out of the car and change his own tires. He doesn't pump his own gas. He relies on his team to get him in and out. And same thing in any sport, whether it be football. The quarterback doesn't hike the ball to himself. He doesn't throw the ball downfield to himself. There's receivers. He has blockers in front of him that protect him so he doesn't get smashed every play. So everything involves teamwork and preparation. And that's why I'd like to get back to what I think is the biggest example of what teamwork is, and also what it looks like, because there's no ego in teamwork. You have a role, so everyone succeeds. There's no individualness in succeeding. Hard work, yes. Smarts, determination, but there's always help. There's always guidance. And for me, one of the biggest ones is the Apollo 11 mission, the first mission to the moon. Now, we all know who Neil Armstrong was, the first man to walk on the moon. We know who came down the steps right behind him, Buzz Aldrin. But who was the third man on the mission? And what was his job? Because Michael Collins, the pilot of the mission, who flew the Apollo 11 module, orbited the moon while Armstrong and Aldrin were on there. And I believe he has like 80 some orbits around the moon. I don't know if they were all on the Apollo 11 mission, but if you just think of what happens, you have the moon and it goes in a circle, right? And then you have Aldrin and Armstrong on the moon while Collins is flying around the moon in the orbit. So how are Aldrin and Armstrong going to get back to the space module without Michael Collins? So his job was very important as he piloted the capsule around the moon while doing the math to let Aldrin and Armstrong know the precise time to hit their burst to get the Eagle off Tranquility Base and up into the moon's orbit to the right timing to attach back to the module. Think of it like this, at least this is mine. This camera's out of whack. All right. So when I played Little League Baseball, I didn't drive myself to the ballpark. Mom and Dad drove me. I participated in the games, either win or lose. It was fun, but Mom and Dad didn't participate in the games. It was just me and my teammates. So that's how I look at Michael Collins. He was the parent driving Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to the moon, to go down onto the moon to do their experiments, and then fly them home. Teamwork, no ego, selflessness. And Michael Collins was also a fighter pilot. He was a test pilot and the director of the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. He was that important of a person, yet he had enough presence to not let his ego get in the way of anything to look for notoriety. Because prior to this, how many did you guys know who the third person on the Apollo 11 module was? So just my example of teamwork, what it looks like, how important selflessness is, and most importantly of all, success to the mission involves leaving your ego at the door and doing your job. So thank you, Michael Collins, for your great example. And I hope we all can take a lesson from this and learn to not take ourselves too seriously and most importantly, too important. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the channel as we're trying to grow it. I appreciate your help. And remember, just be kind to one another and treat each other the way you want to be treated. And life will be a lot simpler.